Alright, Shalom, Shalom. This is Brother Mayum coming at you from GMS Tampa Bay. First and foremost, I want to give all the praise and all the glory unto Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai, Bahashim Ruchah HaKodash. Double honors to the elders apostles of Great Millstone. And much blessing and salutations to the Akim around the four corners of the earth who are diligently pushing out this truth and this truth and sincerity. And I just want to do a quick lesson, just kind of doing a little bit of reading here. And came across this article entitled, The World Bank Experts Discuss New Foundational Model for Digital Payments Interoperability. All right, and this article actually came out in August of this year, August 10th. So, once again, this is, a topic that's been, on the, in the forefront of what's been taking place in the background, it's like it has been taking place in the background amidst what's, the chaos that we see being pushed out on the news, and that's the preparations that are being, taken for the introduction of what the world is going to know as the RFID microchip. All right, but for those of us that understand the scriptures, we know that the RFID microchip is the mark of the beast. Okay, and this is something that's going to be implemented worldwide. And as we're seeing happening, people are being pushed and being nudged towards this digital, and as this article puts it, this digital inclusion or financial inclusion. Okay, because what society has been, or how society has been structured, is that finance is a big part of being able to function in today's society. All right, without inclusion in the finance world, all right, without you having any sort of income or revenue coming in, you're not really able to partake in society in today's world. All right, and this is why a big part of the MOTB, all right, the RFID microchip, is that financial inclusion. All right, which this article brings up that term, and I went into a couple things on that, but real quick, let's just start at the beginning of this article, and it starts off with saying this: integrating fast payment systems, or FPS, with other components of digital public infrastructure, such as digital ID and interoperable data exchange platforms, can streamline the digital financial ecosystem and drive financial inclusion. So I went on to ChatGPT and I asked it to explain what financial inclusion meant. So it said financial inclusion means making sure that everyone, especially people who are poor, live in rural areas, or are otherwise disadvantaged, has access to useful and affordable financial services. And throughout the years, you've been seeing these digital programs that have been implemented in these poor countries. All right, the Bahamas, you have the digital sand dollar. You have it in Nigeria, where they went cashless a few years ago, and there was some uproar about that. All right, I believe, other parts of Africa as well, all right, that have instituted these digital financial formats. All right, so there's been nothing but test runs being done all around the earth. Okay, that's all that we've been seeing. And now here in America, just as of late, you had Donald Trump pass what is known as the Genius Act, which allows stablecoin to be tied to the US dollar. So now you have these different companies that are racing to create their own stablecoin, okay, that's now going to be backed by the US dollar. And that's just the beginning to the end for America, man. All right, as far as the MOTB coming to fruition here as a mandatory thing. All right, it goes on to say in ChatGPT, these services include things like, and it said, Salaki, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. It said, especially people who are poor, live in rural areas, or otherwise disadvantaged. And what does the scripture say in Revelations chapter 13? causes all, both rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in the right hand or in the forehead, so that who had not the mark or the number of his name shall not be able to buy or sell. Right? So here you go. They're setting up these systems for financial inclusion. So everyone is going to be tied to this system. And if you're not partakers, you don't want to be included, then you will be ousted out of society. You won't be able to function. You won't be able to go into the grocery store to buy. You won't be able to go to the gas station and get gas, get fuel. Okay? So on and so forth. This is why a lot of these other Israelite camps are leading a lot of their following down the wrong path, man. Okay? Because what they're teaching is not according to what the scriptures are saying. Revelations 13 is becoming more and more clear as the days go by, that it is not a thing of sin, that it is not a thing of sleeping with white women or whatever the hell these other groups want to call the MOTB. Okay? But what we see happening, this system that's being set up before our very eyes, is exactly what the Heavenly Father is speaking about when he says the MOTB, the mark of the beast, the vision that was shown unto John the Revelator. Okay? This is what John saw. People getting something put inside of them to be able to partake in society. Okay? It says these services include, and this is what the financial inclusion is trying to bring you into being a part of. This is going to be a part of the system. These services include things like bank accounts to safely store money, credit or loans to start or grow a business or handle emergencies, insurance to protect against risk like illnesses or crop failure, and have not the farmers as of late been having to file bankruptcy, all right, selling their farms off. So this system of financial inclusion that's being pushed on the earth is going to be shown as the solution to the problem that they themselves have created. Okay? And again, this is what we've been saying. And the scriptures tell you this: when they shall say peace and safety, then come a sudden destruction upon them. They're going to preach the safety and the convenience of switching over to this system, how things are going to get back to normal. You're going to be able to own your farm again. You're going to be able to do this and that. You'll be able to have that car again. You'll be able to buy that house that you've dreamt of buying but couldn't because of the previous systems that were in place. They were holding us back. This is how they're going to push this out there, man. And the majority of the people of the earth are going to fall head over heels for this. Okay? Head over heels. Dumbass black bitch, man. Okay? It says saving options to build financial... It's Salakia, man. You know, I'm just doing this in transit, and you got... It's always something out here on the streets in Tampa, man. There's always something, man. You know, this Tampa Bay area, man, it's got a lot of bug outs on the street, which, you know, I'm sure there's, you know, plenty of people who are bugged the hell out all over this damn country, but, you know, I can only speak from my experience. It says saving options to build financial security and digital payments to send and receive money easily and safely. There you go. The peace and safety. Ezekiel chapter 7 talks about that they shall seek peace and safety. You know, roughly paraphrasing, they shall seek peace but shall not find it. You're not going to find no peace out here, man. All this chaos that people are going through financially right now, people are struggling like crazy, man. People losing their cars, people losing their homes that they just bought. All right, here it is. You got this government shutdown. People having to go to work and not getting paid. This is straight up chaos. But here it is. They're trying to introduce this whole new system of financial inclusion, which is going to come via digital identification device okay, that's going to make things so-called easy and safe. There ain't going to be none of that, man. It says the goal of financial inclusion is to ensure that no one is left out of the financial system. And remember back, I can't remember if it was the early 2000s or the 90s, but they had this no kid is left behind system that they implemented in the education system, where no child is left behind. All right. And it dumbed down the education system, which ironically was something that the Rockefeller Foundation established. Okay, going to show you that everything's been set up. But the point of what I'm trying to bring up is this whole idea of not being left behind is something that's already been implemented, all right, within the education system. And this is why you have a lot of people who are degenerates and don't know shit, because of the very educational system of the people who are now becoming so-called leaders in the communities that we live in are the same people who were taught under this no kid is left behind system, all right, educational system. Okay, and now we're transitioning over to a financial inclusion, okay, where no one is left out of the financial system. So you educated the people to where everyone is all under has been nudged and pushed through this educational system, and now everyone's been nudged and pushed through this financial system, to where everyone is going to become a part of it, or is going to be forced to become a part of it, or otherwise suffer the consequences of being left out. Okay? And this isn't going to be like the educational system in the sense that you can just get by without going to their schools. No, this is going to be something that now you're locked in. You can only be a part of it if you receive this. Just like they made it to where you can't get particular jobs without a particular degree, without going to their institutions. Okay, well now you're not going to be able to partake in society without having gone through the proper channels, which these channels are going to be a digital one. Okay? It says, in short, financial inclusion equals access plus affordability plus use of financial services for all. You see? So there you go. This is what the MOTB is talking about. This is the system that we see these devils pushing out around the earth. Okay, you had the UK that came out with this digital, the mandatory digital IDs for anyone who wants to work. Okay, and this is, you know, you had the ESG, the environmental social governance program that's been instituted out here in America. All right, you have these social credit systems that have been implemented out in the East. Okay. You have these countries that have been going away from the Swiss system, creating their own form of communicating with each other to do trade and to, you know, be able to change money out, to send payments internationally, you know, at an instant's moment. Okay, with, you know, nations like China and Russia, you know, North Korea, India. Okay, these are nations that have been doing business as of late, you know, using their own systems, doing digital payments. Okay. And so back in this article, it states they recognize that while fast payment systems inherently enhance digital payments and affordability, linking them up with other digital public infrastructure holds high potential for economic transformation. And this is what they want. They want to bring about an economic transformation, because the current economic systems that are in place don't jive with the digital world that's being implemented with the image of the beast. Okay, it just can't. You can't track everyone under this current system. Although they're pushing for it, and majority of transactions are able to be tracked, but you can't track everything. You can't track everyone under the current systems. Okay, especially with cash still being out here. But again, as you've noticed, cash has been something that's been used less and less over the years. You have to ask yourself, why is that? Okay? And when you see what's happening now with these particular programs, all right, this so-called financial inclusion, you see why. Because this is all prophecy, man. Okay? It says the advocacy comes not long after the IMF suggested in a retail payments report that DPI interoperability has, which DPI again is the digital public infrastructure, says the report that the DPI interoperability has the potential to boost digital payments. To the authors, each of the three major DPI components are powerful alone, but integrating them for service delivery, especially payments, can greatly amplify their impact. Okay, such integration, they explain, can be seamlessly done through what they describe as new foundational services and capabilities, which include payment identity credential. What is a payments identity credential? Your RFID microchip tying you to who you are and everything else about you. All that grapho. Okay? All that information. And a trusted access and credentialing hub, which can both be leveraged for real world uses and benefits. So there you go, man. And we're nigh at the door, man. This isn't something that's rumors anymore. This is something that's actually taking place. These systems are being pushed out there, man. Okay? So I just want to go ahead and close out there, man. The point's pretty much been made. You know, there's a little bit more on this article. You know, Lord's will, I'll put it up in the description box for those of you that want to read it, you know, and dig a little bit further, you know, into some of this language of this article and you know, figure, you know, bring out some more things on it. But, you know, Lord's will, this has been edifying. I want to give all the praise and all the glory unto Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Rachah HaKodash. Double honors to the elders apostles of Great Millstone, and much blessing and salutations to the Akim around the four corners of the earth who are diligently pushing out this truth and its truth and sincerity. With that I say, Shalom.